Hi, I'm Gab.
And I'm Rob. How you doing? Welcome back. This is the second in our series of videos where we're hoping to share with you some of our ideas and experiences and this wonderful community that we've created. Gab, have you ever had one of those moments where you've thought, why the hell did someone do that? What were they thinking? Or maybe you've even thought, what was I thinking?
Yes.
Yes.
You mean idiots?
Yeah, maybe that's a term that's... yeah, well, look, that's a term that's used often, isn't it?
Yeah,
but,
it is actually.
You know, I wonder whether really there are idiots in the world, or is it just we don't really understand how we make decisions?
I think you're probably right. And does it come down to what's rational and...
That's an interesting concept, isn't it? Yeah. Gab and I have shared with you that our study and our real learning journey, I suppose, around social psychology. And one of the things that we've learned about is that not all decisions are rational.
So if not all decisions are rational, does that mean that it's irrational?
Well, I'm not sure it's that simple either. Look, it raises another really interesting thing that we've learnt is we often think in the world, and particularly in risk and safety, in what's really a binary way, an either a black or white, or in this case, rational, irrational.
Yes.
Maybe you could help us understand a little bit better around if things aren't rational or irrational, what else is there, Gab?
Well, unfortunately, it's quite complex. It's not as simple as let's just get a quick fix. It's understanding how humans make decisions is very complex, and we really need, it's quite critical to understand this when it comes to dealing with risk, because it's about learning.
Yeah.
Learning how we make decisions, how we come to, I guess what it comes down to is an unconscious way of making a decision that sometimes we don't even realise. But it is more about not rational versus irrational, it's actually irrational.
Right, so we have rational, irrational and irrational.
Yes.
Maybe it might be easier if you used an example to let's think through some of the decisions we make.
I think so.
Maybe let's take, for example, driving a car.
Yes.
An activity that probably most people watching, and certainly we do.
Yes.
Could you maybe talk us through, let's start, say, the rational. What are some of the rational decisions?
Okay, so let's look at driving. When we first start to learn to drive a car, we're looking at things quite logically and systematic in that we need to know that. We need to know what process is here, what steps are here in order to learn.
Yeah.
So it's quite clunky and we're thinking hard in actual fact. But it's the beginning of the learning process, isn't it really? Yeah,
sure. Okay, so that I can get that. So that's more, maybe if you could put that as it's slow thinking. It's really hard. You mentioned hard work.
Yeah, it's hard work. And that's why quite often when we're learning something new, a new concept, we sometimes say, oh, my brain hurts. And quite often because it is, you're really utilising that muscle really well.
Yeah.
But over time, and this is where it comes into the learning process, over time, we build up little micro rules.
Yeah.
We're not even aware that we're doing this.
Sure.
This is where I was talking about unconscious. These little micro rules are what we then build up so much to a point that we start doing things automatically.
Okay.
That we're not even aware that we're doing them.
So what I guess I'm hearing there is that there's many decisions that we think we make.
Yes.
Or maybe we think we make in a rational way that actually happen a lot in the background.
Yes, and that's when we talk about rational versus irrational, because irrational is when we're making a decision unconsciously, it's not irrational. It's in a state that's not rational, logical or aware of, so but it's not completely, oh my God, that was just a stupid thing that I did.
Yeah.
It was those utilising those micro rules, because bodies are designed that way in order to be able to do so many more things than what we could do in that conscious working brain.
Yeah, so there's a couple of key things there for me is that the whole concept of not thinking necessarily in a binary, which is a black and white, or in this case, rational or irrational way, that there are lots in between.
Yes.
And that's really helpful in helping understanding how we make decisions. And I guess let's take that just for one example into the workplace. What might be a really simple example of when we might be working on that autopilot you said, or automatic in the workplace, for example?
Oh, well, there's many times that we do this, and I'm sure some of you that are listening to this right now or watching this right now could think of some different tasks that you've done, that you've learnt at the beginning, not knowing really what it was. Even just going into a new work environment, you had to learn where things were, had to learn, who sits where, who you should talk to and who you shouldn't talk to, those kinds of things. Yeah. But even just tasks such as working on a construction site, walking through a construction site, even driving a forklift, for example. There's many tasks that we can use this example and understand. Well, when we first started out, we were working through it slow. We were learning logically all the systems and processes with regards to that task, and it was slow. Yeah. But over time, we built up these micro rules unconsciously that help us to do it quicker and faster. And that's what we talk about, our competencies. And we learn new things. And that's when we talk about someone who has knowledge and skill and competency and understanding about a particular task or process or a job. Great.
So that's really helpful for me, Gab, and certainly one of the key things I've learned about in the last few years is if we can actually take the time to think about how decisions are made, it might help in those moments where you think, my God, what were people thinking, or why weren't they thinking? And, maybe the next time you go to say, well, that was an idiot. Or, what was that idiot thinking?
Really think that through.
Yeah, we can, through what we've talked about today, maybe that can help you have a better understanding of maybe how that decision was made. So we hope you've enjoyed today's session.
We have.
We have, and we look forward to catching up with you next time. I'm Rob.
Gab.
See you next time. Bye.